So hello, I'm Yoshi Pro. This is my speedrun of all main levels, also known as No Major Skips in Glover, in 2817. I've been working on this game about on and off for about 2.5 years, and I'm happy to have achieved this time. The timing starts on difficulty selection. Here I selected easy because the only difference between easy and normal is normal inverts your controls and you start with less lives. Normal inverts your controls when you're on top of your ball, which is kind of an issue when it comes to movement. The main form of movement you're going to be seeing when I'm on my ball is called L canceling. And the idea is when you change your stance by pressing the L button, you get a short speed burst, and as you can see, I keep going up and down on my ball. That's me L canceling. Now when I'm not on my ball, I'm going to be holding A to jump, jumping slightly faster and walking around. The first world is Atlantis. It's fairly simple. Also, these splits are not my PB from the time. These are just some random splits I had that were all every individual level. So here I changed my camera with C down twice, because I'm going to be doing a cutscene skip at the very end of the level. And pretty much what a cutscene skip is if you tap C up when a cutscene's supposed to play, the C up takes priority and will override the cutscene that's normally supposed to play. That was the late split. And be more attentive. The level is pretty straightforward. Here, you're usually supposed to make a platform rise, but you can just kind of bounce across there. Here I'm going to be doing another cutscene skip in the water. Once I've done that, I jump off my ball on the staircase. I lost about a second there because I jumped off a bit too early. Come on, red split, give up. Yeah, you're right. Here's the first somewhat major trick in the run. It's called bounce around. It's up after the stairs is a water wheel. Usually you're supposed to make it spin around, but instead you can actually just bounce around it, like so. This saves about 6 seconds over an alternative skip you could do, and about like half a minute over actually hitting the switch. After that, I just wait for my camera to catch up here. This costs about a second. I want to wait for the camera to catch up here because that shark is random. It can be in a different location every time, so it's safer just to wait until my camera is in sight of that shark. So coming up is the first boss in the game. It's the first truly random and one of the only really random parts of the game. So the first phase of this boss is the whale. The whale has 3 different attacks. One is super slow, and the rest are about the same speed. In this run, I do not have his super slow attack, which is the jump, which is really nice. So here, I'm going to change my ball to bowling ball, and then hit this fish upwards, because the next phase after the crab relies on the fish being higher up. His height matters. And that's the first boss. Overall, that Atlantis was really good. The boss could have been a bit better, but besides that. Hello, Up Your Arsenal Speedrun God. So coming up next is Carnival 1. Carnival is usually, in a casual playthrough, the most gimmicky world in the game. They have you do a bunch of little mini games. But in a speedrun, we completely skip all of it. Not much, but I'm just commentating this run, because why not? Also, Carnival has the best character in the game. His name is Dennis. You'll see him. You won't see him in this level actually, but you'll see him later. Here, I roll up that slope and throw my ball up. And that skips hitting a switch over there to move that conveyor belt. Bounce around here to skipping another switch. And now here is one of the biggest tricks I was found, Shadow Subperius. So pretty much how you're normally supposed to be at this level. You're supposed to do slots, pachinko, in a whack-a-mole game. And that will open or you'll gain access to a rocket. And using that rocket, you'll fly up into the sky to the level end trigger. But instead, you can use an exploit with a chicken, where if you're holding your ball and he jumps into you, he'll get stuck in a loop, and you can actually gain height that way. And doing this, we're actually able to get up to the level end trigger a lot earlier than we're supposed to be able to. Also, these splits are going to be a bit wrong here. I can't really do much about that. There's no way you can have a 558 Carnival one. So here I'm doing some B-ball cancels, which is the act of tapping DBZ. Doing that dribbles my ball, but then also lets me grab it and hold it, which lets me get more distance without losing height. You'll see that used whenever I need to travel a far distance. And now here's a very exclusive trick. It's called A bouncing. So if I tap A, I get a really high vertical throw. And doing that, I can actually just walk into the ball. And I'll bounce over the fence that normally you're not supposed to be able to bounce over. And I can just go straight to the exit. Oh, big split again. Now here's the introduction of the best character, and the only instance you're going to see him actually. His name is Dennis. He's this giant purple blob. You only see him once, sadly. I use him to get up there. I pretty much did a BCA to get my ball up there. You're not supposed to be able to get your ball up there, you're supposed to go through a little puzzle with Dennis and hitting a switch to make a little gate spin around. Here's the first major time loss of the run. I missed a cycle there because of Dennis. I had to do an extra jump. Surprisingly, that split would have still been gold for me, but I can save about 4 seconds there. Now this is the first boss with some major skip. Normally, he's supposed to have a bunch of different animations, but you can actually clip out of bounds while he's in his first animation here and hit the target again while it's out of bounds. And since he can't play 2 animations at once, he'll skip one completely. This saves about 8 seconds. Overall, that was a pretty good carnival. I'm doing ball storage here, so pretty much if you slap your ball into a loading zone, the developers didn't want you to lose your ball forever in an unreachable place, so instead it'll disappear and reappear next loading zone you enter. And I use that here so I can L cancel towards the first level of Pirates. And now the first trick of this world is I'm going to be holding up right and just walk off the edge and land on my ball. It's important I landed on my ball because if I didn't, I would have died. Normally if you fall too great a height, the game will just kill you automatically. But because we landed on our ball, it completely negates that. So I don't have to worry about dying. There you saw me bounce when going down. It's so I can get that really high fling out of the water. Normally you're supposed to just go up to the water surface and you're kind of stuck there. It's fairly slow. So instead, if you bounce, you'll get a bunch of height for no reason. And since you can't L cancel in water, you pretty much want to avoid being in water at all costs. I can't really do much here. I'm on cycles. Here I want to bounce over to this pirate ship. Usually you have to raise another pirate ship to come up by going up on that lighthouse you didn't really see. Instead you can just bounce over to it. And same thing here. Usually you have to hit a switch, but you can just bounce over to the pirate ship. So overall that was a pretty good level. I kept 3 on the split. And now here is probably one of the hardest strats how it's been found recently. It's called Boodle Cycle. This was found by Christopher Boodle, another really good speedrunner of this game. So pretty much, you're supposed to go through this whole little course to get over to the end, but you can just kind of bounce from the start to the very end of the level. This whole level is cycle based, and since this is the fastest cycle we can achieve, you can't really speed this up. And since we didn't hit a button earlier, you actually have to do a barrier clip here, to clip into the wall, and access the exit. Here's the second somewhat notable mistake in the run. I messed up my movement at the very beginning. I get stuck on that barrel, which only lost about 2 seconds there. And then here I lose another second, and another 2 seconds here. So overall I lost probably about 6 seconds at the very beginning of this level. So far I've had about 10 seconds of no work. But everything else in the run's been very solid. Here I'm going to do a cutscene skip to get an earlier cycle on the platform that goes up and down over here. I'll cancel bounce over these little stairs for the flies. And that pretty much finishes up Pirate. As you can see, I'm already losing time off my best to do splits. I'm gonna lose time on this split because I kind of rearranged the splits so they'd be like my route. The point is I'm still very far ahead of these splits. And now this is the Pirates boss. You don't really actually fight the boss. He's really annoying normally. But luckily, for some reason they put the target in the chest you saw behind the monkey. So you can just go over here and clip into it. And go straight into the target. That saves over a minute because the monkey is super slow to fight. That clip is somewhat random. Not really, but there's no consistent setup for it. And getting it first try is a huge relief. Because usually if you miss it once, you just keep on missing it over and over again. So now since I did ball storage, you're going to see me return 2 balls here. This is also going to happen again after a run pre-store. So overall, that was a fairly good first half of the run. Anything 13-2x is generally really good. So coming up next is the hardest world in the run. There's multiple factors that make this very hard, including the other only real randomness in the run, which is lightning. Lightning is only a visual effect, but it's completely random and it's really annoying. And it can really mess you up when you're trying to focus. So after hitting the switch, I'm going to go do an L cancel bounce off the ledge. And pretty much what I'm doing is in the earlier cycle there. That saves about 6 seconds. It's fairly risky, and if you miss it, you lose upwards of half a minute. So it's a pretty big deal to get that trick in a run. Here, I get the beach ball, and the beach ball gives you lower gravity. So I do some B-ball cancels with it, and then I'll cancel constantly and just get around the drawbridge. Usually you have to go lower that drawbridge and it's really slow. Oh. But luckily they didn't program a back to that wall, so we can just go around it. I get a really weird bounce there. Didn't really lose time. And here's the next big skip in Fear. This is a door skip. Usually you have to go into a room over there and hit a lever or push a lever and lower or open a door, not lower. But instead you can just kind of clip into that side of the wall and L cancel over to the part after. It saves about 10 seconds. I've done it perfectly. Sadly that wasn't done perfectly. So I could probably save another 4 to 5 seconds there. So for the first half of this level I'm on a cycle, so you'll notice I'm not going too fast. Since I don't really have to worry about it. So coming up when I get the beach ball, I'm going to want to enter the teleport as soon as possible. I'm going to be trying to do a trick. Sadly in this run, I didn't get the full execution of the trick, because I did this first part a bit slower. Still, it wasn't awful. Though if I was to get the full trick, I could have saved an additional 4 to 5 seconds. So I guess you could call this the second big mistake. Or noteworthy mistake in Fear. As you saw, I just went over towards that roof. Normally you can cut the corner and come over to where those barrels are, but I was a bit nervous because I didn't have much beach ball. And that wraps up Fear. Overall, Fear wasn't the best, but was still overall fairly solid. So for Fear boss, usually you have to do a little puzzle here. You see all these little platforms. If you ground pound them, the one on the opposite side of the room raises. But instead, if you ground pound the same one, if you ground pound it right when it's about to touch the ground, the game gets confused, and it will underflow, which will send it all the way to the top. So that completely skips the puzzle here. As you see, I'll just ground pound the same one twice, and it goes all the way to the top. That's not supposed to happen. Now I just bounce and slap it over onto this. I don't get the fast skill here. You can actually slap it right onto that button. So that lost me about a second. Overall though, that was a very solid Fear. Considering how difficult of a world it is, I'm fine with all the small little mistakes I ever made. So I'm going to do ball storage again here. Sadly, for some reason it didn't cut the loading zone there, so I lost another second or two. This time loss actually isn't real either, because the splits are all messed up. The split should be accurate again after I'm done pre-start. So coming up is pre-1. Prehistoric 1 is pretty simple, though it is deceptively difficult. It's actually very easy to lose just small bits of time here and there. Pretty much if you have snow on your ball, you can climb up slopes you're not supposed to. So there, I guess I bounced and I didn't realize it, so I got a slow climb here. That cost me about a second. And because of this, I wasn't able to get the climb there either. So overall, I lost like 4 seconds because I wasn't able to climb. I had to wait for these snow cycles. All just because I barely didn't have enough snow. I'm pretty sure this time loss isn't accurate either, but I did lose time here for sure. Not 15 seconds, but Probably 6 to 7. Maybe even 8. This level is just a bunch of bounces. You do 2 really big bounces at the beginning, then you L cancel towards the end. If you L cancel fast enough here, the boulders don't spawn. So I don't really have to worry about anything here. I just L cancel. As you see, a boulder spawned finally. Overall, that was a fairly good pre-2. Now here's the real only strat I don't do in this run, which is prehistoric 3 early cycle. And what it is pretty much is you can get an earlier cycle here. It would save 22 seconds, but the consistency on it is less than 10%. Not even, I'd say less than 5% to be honest. And it's already over 15 minutes into the run, so I don't personally reset over it. If I am to come back to this game, or this category rather, I'm going to still be playing this game. But if I am to come back to this category, it'll probably be when someone finds a way to make this cycle more consistent. Woodle claimed he found a way, but he never showed anyone, and he doesn't do it either in runs or reset over it, so as far as I'm concerned, that trick just isn't consistent enough to bother going for or resetting in runs. But if I am to get that, that would save 22 seconds, or close to. So something to keep in mind for anyone interested in running this game and possibly beating my time. This is the coolest boss in the game. He's a dinosaur with sunglasses, Nikes, and a jetpack. Sadly, he's also the easiest. If you slap your bowling ball straight to the left, if you just change your bowling ball and slap it to the left at the very start, the boss will pretty much get stun locked, and you can't do much about it. This level used to be a guaranteed tied IL world record if you could do that strat, but recently, because I'm such a beast, I untied the IL for it, so yeah, pretty much I'm a god gamer. Anyways, I'm returning 2 balls here because of ball storage earlier. And now, up until this point, this has been the fastest I've ever done this first half of the game. Like, I've gone like 2 sub-24s my entire life. In my 2.5 years. Just really a year of running this category constantly. So getting such a low 23 was a really big deal to me. Sadly, this run could have actually been a 27 with the case I was on here. But my space was not very good, to say the least. Space is the most improvable part of my run. You'll see why later. So coming over the space, the gimmicks of this world are low gravity, which means you can get insane height off bounces and stuff. For the first level, we're going to be abusing the fact they didn't program a back to a wall. And pretty much what this allows us to do is just go around the back of a mountain and go straight to the end. So here I'll hit the switch, do a cutscene skip. I'll cancel over to the fan here. And using the height from the fan, I can go around this mountain, grab my ball, and go over to the end. And because walls only have collision from one side, because that's like the standard N64 thing to do, I'm able to get in with ease. Now this level there's no interesting skip really. You're supposed to hit a bunch of switches, but you can just L cancel at the end. This whole level is supposed to go fast, because the idea is the door's only open for a certain period of time, and you have to rush to the end. So with L canceling, this level's a joke. And now here's the only accidental death in the run. And probably the biggest single time save you can have in this run. Just 10 seconds here. This bounce is a bit finicky. You have to be at the very edge in order to make this bounce. And sadly I wasn't. So I can save 10 seconds there, that bounce. About 10 seconds. Actually, I haven't timed it, but the average death is about 7 to 8, and I already had to set up for that bounce. So I'd say 10 is a fair estimate. Maybe a bit under. Now the rest of this level is fine. It's just a bunch of abusing the fact that gravity is lower, so we can bounce places we shouldn't be able to. And here, you usually have to wait for and go into those conveyor belts where you can bounce around it. Here I break the glass. Change the marble, because bowling ball is super slow to cancel. And at this point I knew this run was guaranteed the PB. Pretty much once you get into Space Boss, you're guaranteed a PB. It's hard to lose more than 10 seconds here. You can get a quicker kill than I do in this run. I don't get the quick kill here either, which lost me another probably 10 seconds. So overall, I can save about 20 seconds of space, which is the most time I can save anywhere. So if we're going to be like asking for a perfect run, you could probably beat this current run by close to 40 seconds, I'd say. We could get like a mid 27, possibly. Currently have no interest in grinding out to beat this run, because, well, a low 28 is what my goal was originally. And after having some really good play pretty much throughout the entire run, there's some slight movement errors here and there. There's a few small mistakes, but that's to be expected with this game, honestly. So here's the shooting part of the Space Boss. This didn't go too well, sadly, as you're going to see. I whiffed some of my left arm shots because I was 100% sure they were hitting. I didn't realize until after they weren't. So here I get my second shot on his arm finally, then his last one. So that, his arm kills were done like 5 seconds later than they're supposed to be done. And here, this costs about 8 seconds. Not get quick kill. Now over an IL Space Boss, I could probably even save closer to 15 seconds here. But I've only ever done IL Space Boss task strats once, so I'd say 10 is a much more reasonable estimate. And soon I won't be losing time here. Time is going to stop as soon as I enter the fountain again. So I'm L canceling back to the fountain. I'll have to return 1 ball this time. So as soon as I enter the loading zone here, timing is over. So that's Glover, all main levels, the main category, in 28 minutes and 17 seconds. Overall, this run is improvable, but I'm not going to be attempting to do it anytime soon. There's just too much that can go wrong in a run of this length. In a game of this sort, just because of physics. Look how easily I can get a 27, yeah. How can I stop? How easily? I mean, if I've been going for a 28 for this long, I feel like I deserve at least a break. I'm not going to say I'm done with this game forever. I know I'm going to come back eventually, but probably not until some new stuff is found to make it 27 a bit more reasonable. Because most of the mistakes are minor, except for the space ones. I had a break for a day, yeah. But overall, I'm really satisfied with this one. Like I said, it's improvable. Atlantis, I could see myself... I can't really see myself saving time in Atlantis. Atlantis was really good. A 412 is a lot better than usual. I usually average like a high 410, like a 418, 419. Carnival was also... It wasn't awful. It can be a bit better. I've had 8 3X's for Carnival. So I could be maybe 4 to 5 seconds ahead out of time. And the pirate split is the best I've ever done. I could probably be at least 9 seconds ahead out of pirates on a really good run. That's kind of asking a lot though. Now for fear. Fear, like I said, I had a bit of an issue in Fear 2 where I lost the cycle. And Fear 3, there's the IL strat I could go for here. And there's an even earlier cycle actually. It's one of the few strats I don't do in the run. Like 1 of 3 is in this level. And if I can execute it, I could save another 6 seconds. So I could probably save 15 seconds if I go for that strat. And if I don't go for it, like 8. For prehistoric, you could probably save 6 to 7 seconds on my pre-1. And like I said, if you can find a way to make that early cycle on pre-3 fast or consistent, you could save. This is the one world. If someone finds a way to consistently get free early cycle, I'll definitely come back, because then I can save half a minute on pre alone. If you can't get it, then I can only save like 6 seconds here, 6, 7. Now for space, space is the really bad part, sadly. I'd say 20 seconds is reasonable for any future runs. But this is all being really nitpicky. Overall, I'd only see myself improving this currently by 20 seconds if I was to grind for another year. Maybe a bit less, but you know. But yeah, learn this game. There's a tutorial now. Feel free to prove me wrong. Give me a competition. Since Chris Boodle is still 1.5 minutes behind me. I'm just gonna let the credits play out now.